DraftKings Daily Trot. I'm Jason Gilbo, JGilbo11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J. Clay. After a one-day hiatus before I hit the road again, how was flying solo? I mean, did you enjoy it?
If you paid attention, my jaw started to hurt actually from all the blibbing and blabbing. The ratio is usually 50-50, if not 60-40 in your favor, and having to carry the load like an ox, carrying people in the 1700s. It was a much different experience, but we're here. We got through that. Hopefully we got some good lineups going. And on to tomorrow.
Yeah, looking at Friday here and jumping into the DraftKings and a lot of good pitching. I mean, you got numerous guys. I mean, almost half the site is over 10K as far as pitching goes. So, I mean, you're kind of looking to spend up there. I mean, you're kind of forced to anyway. So, I mean, it's going to really cause for us to kind of dig down for some hitters and maybe find some guys that are in kind of more average spots, but because of the position or because of the price tag, you kind of feel a little bit more comfortable using them.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're throwing out those Mike Pelfrey, Andrew Kashner stacks, but and yeah, stacking those two is a stack because it's the stack of death for your lineup and money. But yeah, other than that, I mean, it's going to be super expensive. So get your values ready for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at catcher here, working our way down. And speaking of kind of Pelfrey, I mean, we're looking at kind of these Yankees bats. I mean, 1 through 5, very playable. McCann's not at a bad price tag, but obviously he's not kind of 3,600 range that he has been over the past week and a half. I still don't mind him, but I think catcher is going to be a spot where I do choose to punt with tonight.
Yeah, I'm not touching anyone. I just don't see how it's going to make sense touching any catcher above 3,500. I think that's always the spot to pay down first for when you can. So I just honestly just drove right past that avenue and went to the low income housing for what I was looking for at catcher.
Wellington Castillo, though, I mean, 3,700 is not that bad.
Yeah.
Could you splurge the extra 200, Russell? Could you do that for me? Could you go over the 35, the budget?
No.
Not even for a Wellington
Castillo? Things are tight, man. We're eating ramen and drinking a lot of fruit punch with the stuff. Anyway.
These dice, I mean, quite a bit. I mean, Castillo 3,700 isn't a bad price tag. Look at them. I mean, just nickel. Your average left-hander, 3.31 WOBA to right-handed bat since 2014. A low 38% ground ball rate. And you look at Castillo. I mean, strong numbers against lefties. And at that price tag, I do think he's kind of the come-down top option for me there, just because of the price tag and getting a little bit cheaper. Because I do think you're going to have to be a little bit stingy.
Yeah, definitely agree there. Looking a little lower is I think I'm looking at Cervelli here, 3,100 against Waka. Waka obviously has the name value, but isn't someone that has really done that well this year.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, he really hasn't. You look at Waka, I mean, he struggled for this year. And, I mean, you can get some of those bats just for cheaper just because Waka does sort of still hold that name value. And that's kind of where the spot I was looking at, talking before. It was you are going to have take some guys that, maybe on a normal slate where you didn't have as much pitching high price that you wouldn't really look at those guys. But because of price considered, you do.
Right.
So Stephen Vogt, I think 3,400 is a nice price tag for him. I like him quite a bit there in Cincinnati. Desclafani's making her start, but overall, I mean, not a strong pitcher. Another kind of weak starter that Cincinnati's rolling out. 346 WOBA allowed to lefties since 2014, 1.20 home runs for 9. Vogt's kind of an intriguing option down low.
Yeah, and let's get to that bullpen, baby.
Yeah.
No, and yeah, Vogt's seemingly turning it around right now, so he's going up in price, but I mean, on a slate like tonight, 3,400, it won't kill you to splurge again, but I'm looking 35 and under.
I agree. But 3,400 is less than 35, so I
It
think you can
is,
pull
so
it
we're
off.
in that range, baby.
I feel like cheaper. I mean, you can kind of look at some guys. Miguel Montero for 3K. Obviously, I mean, Montero hasn't been the great offensive catcher this season. It hasn't really done much, but against Bud Norris is still something to look at, regardless of who you are. I mean, you're left-handed. I would take you against Bud Norris.
Oh boy. Maybe in like chess or something, I could beat Bud Norris, but I don't know about anything involving baseball. Um, we could always pray for McCann to get the night off, and then they throw in Romine. That would be cool.
Hey, I mean, I think that is going to be something to kind of consider. I mean, you kind of look and maybe you do get some guys that take a night off, and
Mhm.
you might have to dive down to a Matt Wieters 2,700. I mean, Estranda's been pretty strong this season, uh, but you overall, I mean, he can struggle with the long ball at times, and I think in that ballpark it's certainly playable. So I don't mind with Wieters at a 2,700. I mean, you're getting a top six guy in the lineup there. Against a slightly above average right-hander in a good ballpark, so I think you can take that risk at that price.
Definitely.
So, anyone else you like here?
That I like, no. That I see as viable sort of punt and praise. I mean, Tucker Barnhart against Sonny Gray. Gray hasn't really been himself this year. That's kind of a guy I'm throwing out there. And I mean, you get into the Yasmani Grandal and Tyler Flowers and all this, and it's just like I don't want to do it, but I could see myself doing it, and especially like a Tyler Flowers, even in a horrible matchup. I just think if you're really looking to pay down, there's going to be other options, but he's 2,300, so something I'm kind of looking at.
Yeah, I mean that's 2,300. I mean, he hits in the top half of the lineup. He's been pretty decent against right-handers. I mean, at that point, you're just looking to maybe him get on base twice or not get a
Yeah,
run or get a run or something. Because
right.
one, I mean, he's kind of more there for salary relief.
If you get 5 points, you kind of call it a day and say, "All right, deal."
Yeah, tip of the hat to you, sir.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's tough to play like mediocre players in bad matchups, but sometimes when they're priced down that much, it's kind of like, all right, just put it in, and then you get the returns of some exciting players at other spots. But
Yeah,
and I mean, it has paid off this year quite often with these random punt catchers hitting home runs. So it's not like it's out of the question, you know.
yeah, definitely. Look at first base here, and one, I mean, you got some high guys priced up there, but I think in consideration to tonight's slate, it's kind of tough to do so. But obviously, a guy like Ortiz at 5,500 is always in play. Goldschmidt against the lefty at home's in play. But also, I mean, you're looking price considered. You kind of do have to punt, 2 to 3 options if you're paying up on the hill, which I'm expecting you to be doing. To kind of fit in a name like this. So I think kind of taking an
Yeah.
economical approach in cash games is kind of the way to go.
Yeah, window shopping again. Obviously you like Ortiz. Obviously you like Goldschmidt and Votto. Like those are all fun. I would love to have those in my lineup, but as of our bankroll restrictions, that's just not a realistic option for us right now. So we're gonna have to find something that's manageable for us, and then maybe in a few years we can sell and find a nicer house. But I don't know where I just went. Um anyway, uh no guys over 5K tonight, fellas and ladies.
I think they're viable GPP options because I think you can spin down that pitcher. Cash game wise, I think it's going to be tough.
Yeah, that's more what I'm speaking of. Cash games, it's going to be basically not possible to. I mean, we have to play Kershaw basically, right?
I'm not necessarily saying it's a must play at the price tag. Um, I think you can spin down to a couple other cheaper guys and maybe go a little bit lower. I mean, the problem is, I mean, even those lower priced guys in good spots like Hamill, McCullers are still priced over 10K, so it's still restricting. But as far as GPPs go, I mean, you can still even look at a John Green-Coors against the Padres, who he's dominated this year, even though it's been outside, or a Harvey at 8,300. That's kind of where you're going to
Mm,
have the GPP cash left over.
that's true. That's
So,
true.
I think you can kind of look that route, or even in that Seattle Texas game, I think bigger ballpark. I mean, we've seen those games before sometimes be lower scoring than what we expect them to be, and you can get some low ownership cheap pitchers there.
Right.
So I think overall, I am kind of looking at like an Encarnacion at 4K as far as a cash game guy, just because of the price tag, or even an Alex Rodriguez at 3,800, even though he hasn't been great. Pelfrey is a guy to really pick on, and A-Rod kind of comes in with that nice points per dollar return. So I think those are kind of viable options down low, even though obviously Gossman isn't kind of an elite guy to kind of go after as far as compared to a Pelfrey, but I think both are kind of still certainly in play.
Yeah, I think that's fair. In terms of value though, obviously we do like the top end guys, but yeah, you mentioned Encarnacion. I think that's a solid play. Um, looking lower though, it's kind of gross.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, you have James Loney still kind of chilling down there at a reduced price, but I mean, he's still James Loney. It's not like he's a star or anything. So I think that's a fair price for him. But then you look at the rest of these, Pujols versus Kluber, you're not doing that, And I
yeah,
don't necessarily like Estrada versus Davis either.
yeah. No, I agree, and I think kind of you can look at I think Travis Shaw is a reasonable option at 3,500 against Duffy. The problem is, I mean, both him and Hanley are in such a funk right now. You're kind of got to expect them to kind of get over that tonight, which I think you do kind of put their struggles aside and look at the matchup and the price tag, and you kind of ignore the history from this season, and say they do get a 2-hit game, and you like that at the price tag and what they can kind of deliver, especially because they're hitting both 5, 6 in the lineup.
Definitely. Yeah, Hosmer out versus Sale. Like you're not playing him. Matt Adams, if he's back in the lineup, that's even a tough matchup in general. So, tough here. With a lot of good pitchers on. You just kind of keep going down the line,
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean these guys are taking a lot of teams and a lot of values out of play that normally we'd be looking at. So I think first base you can kind of splurge a little bit and kind of go into that Encarnacion. I mean even the Cabrera, the Tigers bats aren't that bad at 44 and 4,600. And Sabathia is a guy who I'm expecting to regress kind of closer to what he's been up to the past couple of years.
Right.
So.
I Justin Bour at 2,800 isn't a horrible price. If you're really looking to dig deep there.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look. I mean, I think that Marlins lineup's might shake up a little bit, just because you guys have like Dietrich and Bour and Ichiro, all the lefty there. So you might see a Chris Johnson slip into the lineup and possibly become a guy who hits maybe fifth in that lineup.
Right.
So second base here, and once again, I mean, you're kind of not really looking to pay up, and I don't feel really the need to kind of pay up here at this spot. You look at Kinsler against Sabathia at 5K. I mean, these are all guys that are just priced way too highly for me on tonight's slate.
Yeah, Altuve. I don't hate Altuve, but again, at that price, I think if you're paying up even a little bit at first, it kind of makes it tough to go here. A Cano at 4,300, I'm fine with that for sure. But again, it's going to be even tough to get into that lower mid 4K range as well.
I agree. I think this is kind of similar to first base, where that Zobrist, Segura, Starlin Castro range is all kind of where my tier 1 starts, just because of the pricing on tonight's slate. So I like Segura against Nicolino there. I like Zobrist against Bud Norris. So I think Zobrist is one of the kind of valued Cubs bats on the slate. You can kind of look that route.
Solarte again, 3,600. That's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, cheaper course exposure definitely there. I do like that. And you can kind of look lower. I mean, Jason Kipnis, lefty-lefty matchup. But I think Kipnis, I mean, he's handled lefties at an average rate in the past. And you kind of look, I mean, the guy's hitting second. It's still Jason Kipnis at 3,100. You're not going to get that price tag often. Getting a quality name, I mean, he rarely leaves you with a zero. So I think despite that matchup, you kind of look at him as one of the better value plays.
Yeah, definitely.
So outside of that, I mean, it's tough to kind of dig down low, even lower than that. I mean, usually in the past we've had a Dietrich to kind of rely on, not necessarily sure he's going to be in. I think, outside of that, I just think he's kind of the only option down low for me.
Yeah, it's rough for sure. I mean, a lot of the guys that are down low here are facing studs. So you look at a Joe Panic versus Kershaw and et cetera, et cetera. Cesar Hernandez versus Strasburg. It's just kind of not ideal, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you tossed out a Darwin Barney before the show as kind of a cheap punt option. Obviously, Gosman, I mean, you look at the Vegas total, I mean, it's still relatively high. Nice ballpark there. Barney could be an intriguing kind of back-end option for cheap.
Definitely.
So, third base there, and you look up top for Arenado. I mean, it's kind of only if you're paying down at pitching. Kind of same thing with the Chris Bryant. I think you can kind of look lower. I think once again you kind of look at that range of Josh Donaldson at 42 is intriguing against Gausman there. I think those Toronto bats at those price tags, I mean, yes, they're a little bit higher, but you're getting some elite names there for a cheaper than usual price tag.
Yeah, definitely. For once, the Toronto bats are kind of a value here. It's starting to look like on this slate. So I'd be down to fire them up on standalones and as a stacking option.
Yeah, definitely. Martin Prado, 4K, I like him at that range. I was hoping he'd be a bit cheaper, but you can't knock that ballpark. I mean, 2 average at best lefties on the hill. I mean, you're kind of expecting a fair amount of runs in that game. And once again, I mean, Alex Rodriguez, 38, we talked about him against Pelfrey. Manny Machado, suspended 4 games, but expected to appeal. So he could still be in the lineup and against Estrada. I mean, he's been fairly tough. I mean, Manny Machado absolutely handles right-handed pitchers, and at that price tag, it's still too cheap for such a big name.
Yeah, and I mentioned this today. It's kind of like you always just Machado, unless it's a pure ace pitcher, you're not really looking to fade him completely. Like he's always in play. So when you look at him at 3,700, I think the value just starts to make sense regardless of pretty much who he's going against.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and you can kind of lock him into a shortstop role, which is nice. So you don't necessarily have to waste him at third base because of the value.
Right.
A Brandon Drury, 3,400. A guy like against Nicolino. I think he's one of the better values from that game. And kind of the only option, I mean, outside of really Javier Baez, 3,100, who you can kind of take a roll down as far as prices go.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'll laugh really hard if Justin Turner's in the optimizer tomorrow. I don't think so, but he's certainly an optimizer favorite. So I doubt it, but I will laugh if he is.
I would not be surprised if he is, regardless, just because, I don't know what it is about him, but it's like someone went in and just manually changed his projections to always be high, so the value shoots up super high.
But what he once was is never more.
Yeah, I mean, the big red machine out there, I was hoping that he'd be in a decent spot. Is that Justin Turner on the phone there?
Well, it says it's Melissa. No, it's Justin Turner, but it is it's him in disguise as Melissa.
Looking at shortstop here, and this is once again, I think that 4K range kind of sits pretty. Francisco Lindor hammers left-handed pitching at 4K against a really home run prone lefty, Hector Santiago. I like him as kind of the top option, even over a Story in Coors as far as cash games go.
That's a fair take. Yeah, no, Lindor's got a good price, and obviously he's got a really nice matchup. In terms of Story, I mean, you have to like that, but again, that's 1,200 difference, so you kind of shifts your perception there a little bit,
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I mean, price considered, it's kind of tough. I mean, you got Bogarts in the middle at 4,500. I mean, obviously Duffy's not anything to rave about. You kind of expect the Sox to kind of come back to their usual ways after a spot out in the Bay Area. So
Right.
I think those are kind of nice come down options. I mean, obviously we talked about Manny Machado at 3,700, still very much in play.
Yeah, I think Aledemys Diaz is always pretty much in play now at his current range of prices, 3,500. I wouldn't be afraid to throw him in there against Cole.
Yeah, Cole hasn't really been that guy to kind of shy away from this year. And I think you can actually look at him in some of these depreciated price tags for the Cardinals and look at them as viable options. So I'm definitely on him. And I think lower, I mean, we talked about Bays at third base as well. So you kind of have some different options to go with there.
Definitely. And I was kind of joking before, but Gregorio Superstar Pettit is not afraid of Corey Kluber. I don't care what anyone says. He's he's probably not a viable play, but I might throw him in a lineup just because he's 2,900, saves you some cap. Realistically, though, I think someone will pop up down low from this group that's super cheap. There's a lot of
Nah,
guys that sort of don't play every day, but could pop up is what I'm looking at.
yeah, I definitely agree. I think there could be some value that opens up, and shortstop and catcher. I mean, that's going to be two spots usually that you want to wait and do that for sometimes.
Yeah.
Looking at outfield here, and I mean, obviously, if you're paying up, it's going to be probably for those two cores bats of Carlos Gonzalez and Charlie Blackmon. Um, you look at Castro, I mean, has struggled against lefties in cores. I mean, those two bats are kind of the easy calls, and they take a lot of guys out of play for me there tonight. It's like I'd rather just pay up if I'm going for them.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's kind of tough. It's kind of tough in this range because there's just so many top options. It's crazy. I mean, that's what 15 gamers does, but um, it's just everyone, literally.
Yeah, you were like I was kind of hoping there'd be enough of a difference as far as pricing from like the Yankees guys against Pelfrey. I mean, there's not
I
a
know.
tremendous drop down. I mean, you got Ellsbury at 49, Gardner at 46. I mean, Stanton's 4,800 again facing a lefty in Chase Field. I mean,
Which is a joke at this point. Like, that's a joke.
whoa, man, someone angered Russell here.
I'm not angry. I just don't get it. He's batting 200, like, and he started off okay this year. Like, he's not good right now.
No,
Um,
and I think we're gonna jump to the FanDuel pod where he's gonna be around 2,900 still, and we're gonna be
yeah,
like he's definitely worth a shot at that price tag. But here it's like,
no, I'm
yeah,
off. I'm out. I'm out.
well, I'm
I'm
gonna
out.
get.
Give me him at min price, sure. Beyond that, beyond that, he's hitting like a min price hitter right now.
Give me a min price Giancarlo Stanton, and maybe we'll talk about it.
Maybe we'll talk at that point. I mean, again, there's going to be a 2 home run night. I know it's coming, but I'm not going to be on it that night. And I'm okay to lose that night because of the last month and a half of results of just striking out every night, and just no hits. I just am done. I'm done. I'm out. I don't want to deal with it anymore. I just go right by him now.
This is like you. I mean, you keep going after the girl you've been looking at for a long time now. Keep getting shut down, and this is where you stay single for a long time and just focus on your career, Russ.
Yeah, I'm just out. I'm done. I have no more interest in rostering him until I see 3 home runs in 3 games or something stupid like that. And then I'll be like, okay, I can trust you again. You've proved yourself.
Can you let me? Okay, so that's definitely going to happen here soon. Can you let me
Yes.
know? Can you let me know the day after that you're like, okay, I'm jumping back on the Stanton wagon so I can hop
Yeah.
off?
I'm just okay with it, It's like I'm not gonna. A lot of the times you kind of just see it through just to get paid off, and I've quit doing that. I don't need to get paid off on this one anymore. It's just whatever. I'm done.
No, I agree. No, I agree with you. I think it is on a 15-game slate here with how he's performed this season, you can feel completely comfortable fading him. But obviously, I mean, you look at his track record, you look at it in the past. I mean, this would be a matchup that you jump all over and expect that 2 homer night. and I still think his ownership is going to be relatively
high.
It won't be high, but I think it'll be higher than it should be on tonight's slate,
Yes.
just because I think people might jump on and expect tonight's the night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
no, definitely.
I like spinning down here. I mean, there's another range of once again right around 400. That Piscotty, Dexter Fowler range, I like quite a bit. Some of these Cubs bats, I mean, Fowler and Zobers really aren't that badly priced against Bud Norris, who I don't mind taking a shot up against. Tonight's slate. I think they're nice values.
Yeah, I do like that call. I think there's some decent mid-range guys again that we're kind of looking at here. So it's okay. It's okay to pay down.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, Bautista once again, 3,900, another cheap Toronto bet. Jason Hayward. I mean, Hayward's a guy who hasn't really hit that well this season, but I still think Bud Norris. I mean, he's a slump breaker. He'll get you going. he's that good.
Yeah. My boy Ichiro up to 3,600 on his 57th birthday. I don't think I really like him at that price, obviously, but it's quite the jump from the day before. He was only 27 yesterday. But you're definitely avoiding that. What do you think of the Nationals bats tonight?
I'm intrigued, except for some reason Hellickson is so he's not bad, but he's not good either. And I keep taking shots up against him, and I keep missing. And so he's my Giancarlo Stanton, where I'm
okay. You're done.
No, I don't mind. Like Worth at 3,600, not a bad price tag to take that shot on.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can look at that because Worth has been playing well, and Hellickson isn't a great arm, so I think you can take shots there at these prices.
Right.
I'll have some shares of Worth for sure.
Yeah, Nomar Mazara. I'm not afraid of Iwakuma at this point. He's been struggling lately, so you gotta always love the power of Mazara. He's gonna hit 500 feet or something like that. I don't know. That's what I heard. Because all sports are rigged, so that's what I heard.
Through the grapevine, I heard Mazara's gonna hit a 500-footer at Safeco tonight.
Yeah.
You can look at that range of 3,500. Rajai Davis against the lefty, back leading off. He'll be a popular play and a guy to get new cash game lineups. This Baltimore-Toronto game is quite underpriced with some Estrada Gossman home run trouble guys. So I definitely kind of don't mind them as far as one-offs go, like an Adam Jones or a Michael Saunders there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And the thing with a 15-game slate is there's going to be value at outfield. Just with so many hitters. I mean, some of these guys are definitely gonna, hit home runs and get 2 or 3 hits. So it's just finding those values in the 3Ks that end up sort of outproducing a lot of the higher priced guys.
Yeah, definitely. And going a little bit lower. I mean, Justin Upton 3,100 against CC Sabathia. It's like they swap places. Justin Upton's used to be good. Now he's bad this season. CC Sabathia has been bad for the last couple of years. Now he's been good. But he hasn't really been that great for me to kind of stay away from him. I think up to 3,100 is a reasonable price to take a shot on again.
Mm-hmm. Definitely agree with that. Again, Sabathia has a slight renaissance, but not the full renaissance. Like he didn't dress up, It wasn't a full Renaissance fair.
Yeah, we're getting kind of like the it's like they re-released a Sabathia later on, but it's not quite as good as the first one. But it's decent. It's decent. So
new cast, underpaid.
Yeah.
Like that fifth American Pie, where it's not even any of the characters other than the dad anymore.
Right. Yeah. We got the naked Miles CC Sabathia. That's definitely a good one. But 229 outfielders that I'm really looking at tonight: Melky Cabrera and Franklin Gutierrez at 2,900. Gutierrez gets Holland. Gutierrez handles lefties pretty well. Candy's obviously not, a guy to completely just rip into, but Melky Cabrera at 2,900 in Candy's home run proneness, and also struggles with lefties since 2014. 324 low will kind of put him into play for me.
Definitely. Yeah, I like those two. I think that's a solid range to get down to. And kind of makes going lower. I wouldn't really want to go too low at outfield. I feel like that's kind of where you find the value in the 3K range when you kind of pay up at pitching, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think you kind of look at a Davis and, you know, a Gutierrez and kind of lock and load there and maybe pay up for that third outfielder, and then you can feel pretty good about that. So I do think those two guys kind of release a lot of salary into your other positions. So that's going to wrap things up here with the DraftKings Daily Trot. Be sure to check out dailyfantasycafe.com for all the great tools and content.